The Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where that Dragon spacecraft sitting on top of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket will launch Crew 7 to the International Space Station.
You can see Jasmine Mogbelli there with her visor down.
And the suit inflated, right?
Exactly, yeah. So she is in the midst of her pressure check and looks to me like everything is going well. But of course, we want to make sure that those suits have good integrity in the event that we would ever have to use them on board the vehicle. There's Andy Mogensen sitting to her right. His visor's still up, so it looks like perhaps his test has not been initiated yet. And I believe they do perform these one at a time. So Andy has a few minutes there just to kind of relax. You can see the Danish flag on the left of Andy's suit because he is a European Space Agency astronaut, and he is from Denmark.
And now you're looking at mission specialist Satoshi Furukawa giving us a big wave and a big smile and the thumbs up. Last but not least, mission specialist Konstantin Borisov was selected to be a cosmonaut in 2018, and this will be his first trip to space along with Jasmine. And here they come, the astronauts walking down the hallway at astronaut crew quarters. 3 astronauts, 1 cosmonaut of Crew 7 waving as they go by into the elevator, headed down to the first floor. Behind them, Joe Akaba, I believe that's Norm Knight with the Flight Operations Directorate.
It is.
Core on countdown, crew walkout and suit up room departure is in progress on schedule.
It's impossible to not smile when you're watching them walk out with those smiles on their faces, isn't it? It's contagious.
And here they come, Crew 7, taking their first steps outside before their journey to space.
Again, look at those genuine smiles. You really can't hide the excitement.
From left to right, we have Konstantin Borisov, Andreas Mogensen, Jasmine Mogbelli, and Satoshi Furukawa.
Here we go. You can see some of the NASA administrator there, Bill Nelson, Bob Cabana's there, the associate administrator. We mentioned Pam Melroy already. Everybody's there to cheer them on, send them on their way.
Let's listen in a little bit. We've got a microphone down there.
Red right here. Red right here. You see here.
I did. He said, "Vicious, we'll see you." Yeah, I didn't catch what he said at the end there. But Andy's family actually lives just a
second. The commander and pilot, and the third, the mission specialist, 1 and 2. And bye they go. Bye bye.
I think you need a longer bye.
You nailed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here we go with our commander and pilot, Jasmine and Andreas, making their way out for a view of the rocket.
And there it is, that traditional lean back. You got to try to take it all in, and it's a tall rocket. You know, I remember these moments getting ready for my launch, and it's interesting because people ask all the time, you know, how do you feel? Are you scared? But only the 4 of them will be making that final step to space. Everybody else has to come back down the elevator.
That's right. And there's Jasmine Mogbelli, the commander, and Andreas Mogensen, our pilot, making their way across the crew access arm into the White Room, where they'll get into the spacecraft. But first,
Core on countdown. Crew have arrived at the White Room and are preparing for ingress. We are on schedule.
Yeah, that other tradition that we talked about. There's the last signature that they'll have to dole out before they get all strapped in.
There go our pilot and commander carefully getting in. They don't want to mess up that seal, so you'll see him take a lot of time to crawl over that entryway. And here come our mission specialists. On the left, Konstantin Borisov, and on the right, Satoshi Furukawa.
They're even dancing their way down the hallway.
Oh, they're loving it.
Oh, another tradition. A lot of times our astronauts and Constantine here, you can see taking the name tags of some of their ground support personnel, and they'll be flying those to space with them.
With the big wave as they rotate the seats upwards so they can be better configured for launch, of course, and also they'll be able to see their display panels directly in front of them.
Yeah, and the main reason why we want to launch and land in that position is for the G forces, the gravitational forces that we experience. You know, get up to 3 or 4 Gs on launch and landing, on a nominal launch and landing. And when you take those G forces through your chest, so when you're on your back, those forces are coming straight down, so they're hitting through your chest. That's much easier to deal with than if you were sitting straight up, then they were hitting your head. That would really drive the blood out of your head, and that's why, you know, if you're flying a jet, that kind of
Dragon
thing.
SpaceX, seats are in the launch position. You are go for Section 2, suit leak check preparation.
SpaceX Dragon copies, proceeding to Section 2, suit leak check preparation.
T-minus 15. K-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power, and liftoff. Go Falcon, go Dragon, go Crew 7.
Endurance ascends, an international crew
Copy, 1
destined
Alpha.
for the International Space Station.
Stage 1
That's
propulsion is
1.7
nominal.
million. Good calls from the propulsion officers here. Propulsion's nominal. 1.7 million pounds of thrust on Falcon 9, taking Crew 7 to the International Space Station, now traveling almost 300 miles per hour.
Nominal power and telemetry.
We are just about T
Stage
plus
1 throttle
45
down.
seconds into the 7th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9, and right now the vehicle is throttling down to help us pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. There's the call out that Crew 7 is now moving faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q. Stage 1 throttle up.
Confirmation we have moved through max Q and are throttling back up.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
Heard that call from Jasmine on Crew 7, as well as confirmation from the ground. The call out for 1 Bravo means we are in the second and final abort mode for the first
MVAC
stage,
chill
but
is
continuing to
underway.
get good performance. We've got engine chill on the second stage MVAC engine. We will then be looking for MECO, or main engine cutoff, where the 9 engines on the first stage will cut off ahead of the first and second stages separating. Then the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage will ignite. We are now coming up on 2 minutes into the flight, the spacecraft traveling over 2,000 miles per hour.
Really incredible nighttime views of Falcon 9 and Crew 7 on your screen right now. So as Leah just mentioned, we are keeping an eye on a couple of critical flight milestones coming up back to back here.
Stage 1 throttle
Those
down.
are going to be MECO. So main engine cutoff now that we're throttling down stage 1, followed by stage separation and second stage ignition.
Main engine cutoff. Stage separation confirmed. Copy, 2 Alpha. MVAC ignition.
So there you heard and saw MECO, stage sep, and hopefully you heard Jasmine call out for the 2 Alpha abort mode just before second stage ignition.
And of course, this is the second stage, powering Dragon on its flight, now traveling almost 4,000 miles per hour. Over 3 minutes since launch, the second stage will continue to power the spacecraft. And our first look at the crew inside. We'll be standing by for SECO. That's the next major milestone for this second stage engine. That comes shortly before 9 minutes into the flight, so we've still got some time on this engine.
So right now, while Crew 7 makes its way to orbit, our first stage booster is making its way back to land. So you may hear the callouts here on the net shortly that we are in the middle of our boost back burn.
Dragon SpaceX launch
Awesome
escape
to hear.
system disarmed.
Fantastic.
That's the first look at the crew, now in microgravity, confirmation of a good Earth orbit insertion. We are now coming up on 10 minutes into the flight. Of course, we saw second stage engine cutoff, and you're actually getting a look at their zero-G indicator there. We'll stand by for them to tell us a little bit more about that shortly, but we are also standing by for second stage separation from Dragon.
Acquisition of signal in Finland.
So as Leah mentioned, right now, Dragon and Stage 2 are still attached. Great views of that zero-G indicator there. And what we're doing right now is basically letting any residual dynamics of the vehicle settle out prior to separation. We are expecting that separation event in probably about 90 seconds. Crew looks like they're having a great time up in space, too.
And as we stand by for that separation, shortly thereafter, we'll be looking for the nose cone to begin deploying. That command will be sent, and we'll see it open shortly after. We'll need the nose cone to open to expose those forward bulkhead thrusters, as well as the docking mechanism with which they will use to link up with the International Space Station. After their ride, it's almost 30 hours long.
Dragon separation confirmed. Crew 7, on behalf of the Falcon team, I'd like to welcome you to orbit, and we hope you enjoyed the ride on Falcon 9. Space travel is difficult, even though you make it look easy, so thank you for trusting us to get you up there. It's not a bad way to spend a day in the office. Stand by for words from the launch director.
Hello, Crew 7. This is Launch Director here on Countdown. On behalf of the entire SpaceX Launch and Recovery team, I'm honored to welcome Dragon's first ever all-international crew to orbit. Счастливого пути.